Okay, so I definitely wanted to cover some newer coach things, and obviously anytime you have questions, type them in the chat or raise your hand and we'll jump in there. And I'll be asking people to share their biggest tips and stuff. And really tonight is just to help you guys kind of kick off wherever you're at, like to hit the button now button, whether you just signed up, or maybe you've been at this for a couple months, and you're like kind of like just been playing around with it like most of us do initially, or maybe you've been in it a couple years and you're like, you know what, I really want to know that I really want to get surrounded and understand how to build this. Either way, I mean, honestly, that's what's so cool about the business is it really is simple, and that's what I love about it. I mean, I truly believe if someone decides to build this business, if they really decide to be coachable, if they really decide to put their heart in it, if they really decide to fail for it, if they really decide to get surrounded, that anybody can build this, especially if your heart's in the right place. And so I definitely have some talking points that I want to go over. And I don't, like I said, whether you just started or whether you've been doing this for a while, I don't think any of it doesn't pertain to anyone. Does that make sense? Because honestly, we're all doing the same things every single day. And so I wanted to talk about some things real quick, and I wore this headband for a reason. Fight for it. That's the whole foundation of this business, you guys. There has to be some reason that you're here, and there's no wrong reason. That's what's so cool. Don't let anybody, like you should listen to the national wake-up calls. You should listen to personal development and listen to the recordings of Team Courage or whatnot to kind of, get fed and to get fueled. But there is no wrong reason for building this business. Whatever excites you is what you have to stay focused on. See, sometimes we lose focus of that. It can grow and it will grow. Trust me, when I first started this business, my intention was not to build, 100 houses in Nicaragua. That wouldn't even have got me I hope this doesn't make me sound like a bad person, but 7 years ago, that wouldn't have gotten me out of bed. And I'm not really so sure it gets me out of bed now, if I'm being honest. I mean, that is like the cherry on top. That's something that sometimes when you've been blessed with a big business, you have to ask yourself what for, and you have to help people. But whatever excites you is what excites you, and it might take you some time. And so that's my first thing, whether you're brand new, just signed up, or whether you've been with me or been with this team for a while, I want you to come back to that on a regular basis. I want you to, write that down and revisit, what are you fighting for? Because it really is, and this isn't to sound, to some, this might sound negative depending on how you view things, but it's going to be a fight. Anything in life that is important is going to be something that you're going to have to battle for. Does that make sense? Like anytime you're trying to make a change, I mean, your marriage, how many of you guys are married? Would any of you guys agree that can be a day-to-day something you're fighting for? Like, you know what I mean? You're fighting for, you're not fighting each other, hopefully. Sometimes we are, and we have to move through that and heal and apologize and fall on our sword and stuff. But every day you're fighting for the best possible unity in your household. And so your vision, whatever you're fighting for, whether it be $200 extra a month to help pay for daycare, or maybe you have a special fund that you're starting to go on a vacation that you guys maybe have never been able to afford just because money has always been so tight, and like you just want to be able to, like, without stress, without putting on a credit card, you want to take your kids to Disney World. Whatever it is, it has to be important to you, because other things in life are gonna try to steal the show. You know what I mean? Other things are going to try to step in. Other fears are going to, little negative voices are going to talk to you. So that's one thing I want you guys to think about right now. Like, why did you sign up? You never want to lose sight of that, because right now, this is not going to happen, but right now, if they said, you know what, we're not going to pay you to coach anymore, I would still show up to coach. because I know what it did for me on my journey. I'm such an advocate. And that rolls into the next piece of this puzzle. You come first. I really just said that. You're like, wait a second, that's not what we're taught. You have to take care of you. Like on a plane, when they say like, hey, put on your oxygen mask first, before you put on your kids. Seriously, put on your oxygen mask first, because if you pass out, you can't put the mask on your kid. The same thing goes for this business. You have to take care of you. Like your workouts have to take priority. Your shake has to take priority before anything else, because that is where your initial flame is going to come from. Those that have been with me for a while, wouldn't you agree that when you start to pick up that momentum in your own business and you start to feel that change in you, like that confidence starts to change, and you look in the mirror and you're like, damn. Like, do you know what I mean? Any of you guys look in the mirror now? Mary, I know you do now. You know what I mean? Every once in a while you walk past. I'll never forget the first time I walked past the mirror and I was like, oh, well, doesn't look so bad. Do you know what I mean? Like, and that first, like, you know what I mean? That's where that first flame is going to come from, right? And that's the story that you're really going to share. See, a lot of people overcomplicate this business, right? Like with all these scripts, and I'm not saying like I wrote some of the scripts, so I'm not saying like ignore the scripts, like they're just to get you started. But in all honesty, if all you did was say, I don't know, all I know is I joined this weird group and I started drinking this stupid shake, that's what I say, and I started pushing play and I started feeling better about myself, and I can't explain it. But that's what I want to share with you. If that's what you started telling people and showing people and they started seeing your results, people would start to take your hand. It's when we start to try to memorize a lot of things and we start to be like, okay, well, how did Summer say that it starts to seem a little fake. Does that make sense? And that's the cool thing, is there's only one you, right? And you were made specifically in a certain way for a certain time, and there are people that are tied to your vision, your story, your business, not mine. And that's exciting. But it starts with you taking a step back and saying, you know what? I deserve to focus on me. How many of you guys have struggled with that in the past? Where are my newer coaches even? Dude, is that like a new hard concept? Like you're just used to putting yourself on the back burner. Here's something I've noticed. When I put myself on the front burner, when I put myself first, I became a more patient mom. Anybody notice that? Like Chris, did you notice that as a dad? Like the more you took care of yourself, like the more you had to sow into your kids. It's like that's not what we're programmed to think in this society, but it's crazy how that starts to happen. So first and foremost, I don't care what anybody else says. I want you to hear me out. The worst thing that can happen in this business is you could not make a dime and you could feel like $1 million. And you can't put a price tag on that. I will never forget the day that I stood in the hangar, which a military, like where they put planes, and I was waiting for my husband to come home, and I've never felt comfortable in my skin. I have always talked very negatively about myself. I've always like held on to my fat. I called it chubby checks and all. I hated dress shopping. I hated bathing suit shopping. I mean, shopping for jeans was like, Chad, how many of you guys try to take your spouse with you shopping for a bathing suit or jeans? And the look on their eyes, like they're like, are you serious? Like you really want me to go do this with you? Because they know what is about to ensue. Like that was Chad. Do you know what I mean? He was like, really? Like really, I got to do this. Like he knew what was going to happen. For the first time in my life, 7 years ago, when he came home, I could not wait. Like I felt worthy to be his wife. And it wasn't because of a number on the scale. That's how I used to define myself. It was because like of who I got surrounded by. It was because like I learned that I could actually finish something. Have any of you guys started something over and over and over again to the point where you're like, screw it, like there's something wrong with me, like I keep starting over and there's something wrong with me and I just can't finish? And so when I allowed myself to be put first and I actually finished this thing, you know, and I could actually do some push-ups on my toes. Do you know what I mean? Like it had nothing to do with the scale. It had nothing to do with body fat percentage. It had everything to do with self-worth and self-confidence and like realizing like I am worthy to carry your name. Do you know what I mean? And so I'll never forget that hug. And that's every day. That's what there are women and men out there that, man, like I want to give them that feeling no matter whether someone pays me or not. And so, and that comes to the next point. Your heart has to bend towards people. I do fully believe we should make money when you run a business. It's a purpose-driven business. It's mutually beneficial. Like when you sew into other people and you send messages and you run these challenge groups, it's definitely taking time out of your day. And damn it, you are worth something. Your hour is worth something. You know what I mean? Your hour, I bet you would probably say that you're worth less than what I see you as. Like you would probably put less of a dollar amount, but you are worth an amazing dollar amount, right? And it takes time away from your family and it's a business. And there is nothing wrong with making money when you are serving other people, but that's the key, is your heart has to bend towards other people, right? And so that's where the personal development comes in, because what do we always tell our kids? Treat people how you want to be treated, right? Or love your neighbor like yourself, all those kind of things. But how many of us sometimes aren't really loving ourselves? So then how do we love other people? Like you're treating other people how you treat yourself. Do you see what I'm saying? So as we start to work on ourselves, it enables us to love more. And I'm telling you what, people are going to start to attract to you, right? Because there is, at the foundation of every human being is the desire to feel valued and loved, right? And that is going to start pouring out of you the more you love yourself, right? That's going to pour out into your marriage. That's going to pour out into your kids. So you guys, when the zeros, if my paycheck had a lot of zeros at the beginning, like 0, 0, 15, 0, 0, 0. Like when all those zeros, that's how most of us start out, okay? You have to understand there's things changing in your life that you can't even put a price tag on. Like no one could, if someone said, look, I'll give you $1 million, Summer, if you allow me to erase that moment in time in your life when you felt like $1 million, I would say you can take your $1 million and shove it. There is nothing worth that. Do you guys get what I'm saying? So it's going to be a journey that we're going to be on together, but you have to be willing to commit to putting yourself first. Now, how many of you guys will agree that like push play is not always easy, right? How many of you guys understand that you do not have to be perfect to be a coach? You're actually going to be more relatable if you just allow your imperfections to show. You know what I'm saying? Like if you just allow yourself to use, dry shampoo every once in a while, instead of thinking you have to have these beautiful curls every day. Do you see what I'm saying? Like that's a stupid example, but you see what I'm saying? Instead of trying to be perfect, being like, I am me, and damn it, I am here for a reason. And I'm doing the best I can, and I'm going to sew into people. That is the foundation of this business. So you have to, number one, if you take nothing else from this, I don't care where you're at in your journey, and this is something that Chris Webb has done so well, is put your journey first. Put your journey first. Drink your shake. You guys, it is not a stupid shake like I always call it. There is science behind it, and your body really does need it. So I don't care if nothing else changes. Like when I started with my challenge group that just started, I told them, look, push play and drink your shake. That's all I care. Don't stress over all the other stuff. Let's just start there, because you want to know why? 7 years ago, that's where I started. That's all I changed. I pushed play and I drank my shake and I did the best I could during the day. I didn't try to be perfect, okay? So that's the first part. Do you have anything to add to that, Chad?
No.
What about you, Chris? Because this is kind of like your area of expertise. Do you have any type of, because I don't know how many of you guys know Chris's story, and maybe, Chris, you would like to give your 45-second, although that just doesn't do it any justice in 45 seconds. But if you wanted to share that a little and give some of them an encouraging tip when it comes to the journey piece of this.
Right. So, yeah, without going into my whole story, I want to just elaborate on what you just said. It's very important to remember when I started that the only thing that I changed besides up here, the only thing I changed physically was I never ate breakfast. So I started drinking Shakeology in the morning and I pushed play. Just two things. And that's all I could handle. I couldn't handle changing anything else in my life. I couldn't wrap my head around it. I couldn't see that I would be able to finish it. So I never was able to finish anything. I'm like, you don't, damn it, I could do this. I can do this. I can do this. Challenge group helped. But that's the only two things I changed. And just like you, it made me just want to make better choices during the day. Mm-hmm. And that many years ago, all of that's done is snowballed over the years now, 4.5 years later, of my choices now are so different from back then. But it all started with just drink my shake and push play. Drink my shake, push play. And my first program, I lost 33 pounds, and that changed everything. Nothing has been the same since. So,
right? So he pushed play, and he drank his shake. He lost 33 pounds. Obviously, you weren't perfect over 90 days. But how did you feel at the end of 90 days?
Yeah, that was incredible. I mean, how did I feel after the first week? I felt great, to be honest with you. Yeah. But then after the end of 90 days, I mean, I felt unstoppable.
Yeah.
And, and that was just it. And no, I wasn't perfect. I mean, I fell off and I ate crappy, but I felt it. I felt the repercussions of eating crappy.
Yeah.
You feel crappy. So this is the weird thing, is that you can eat crappy your whole life, eat something healthy, and you don't feel anything at all. But if you eat healthy for like a week and eat something crappy, boom, you feel it immediately, right?
Yeah.
Too bad it doesn't work in reverse. Too bad it doesn't eat that apple a day and you feel great because you would continue doing it. You know what I mean? But so yeah, that's it was tough and I fell off a bunch of times, but
yeah,
just kept going.
And what I noticed with Chris is as he finished it, it was like he couldn't help but talk about it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So a lot of us stress about, like, how do you talk about this thing? Let yourself, what you post yesterday, Chad, you said, fall in love with the process. You know what I mean? And as you fall in love with the process and you start moving through it, you can't help but start sharing it. See, a lot of us do it in reverse. And it's what I call the microwave mentality, and it's because we are sold that in society. You know what I mean? A lot of us are like, okay, I have 90 days to make money. And I rather you challenge yourself to say, I have 90 days to show myself that I can do hard things. You know what I mean? Like, give yourself 90 days of grace. Like, I call it grit and grace. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta kind of got to grit your teeth. Sometimes you don't want to do it, and you got to give yourself a whole lot of grace along the way. Do that for 90 days, and I promise you in 90 days, you'll want to tell people. You'll be like, I don't even, can't even, all I know is, like, that'll start naturally coming out instead of you having to force, like, your Facebook or trying to share stock photos, which I don't recommend, or, going more the salesy route instead of going the heart route. And that's the way that I want you guys to go, because Chalene Johnson, John Maxwell, Danny Johnson, a lot of the people that have mentored me have taught me to go that route. It might take a little longer, but you'll have lifers like Chalene Johnson talks about, people that will stand next to you no matter what. And you'll have these stories of people that are say, like, Alicia, like, because of you, I'm still married. Did you know that? Like, you know what I mean? And you'll be like, are you kidding me? I mean, Chris, how many messages have you received from people that have said, Chris, because of you, I stopped drinking? Yeah. I mean, can you even keep count anymore?
No, that's a big one.
I mean, you guys, and that's not because Chris was like, you know what? I'm going to set out to make sure I'm known. You know what I mean? I'm going to sell this thing. Chris went out, said, how do I become the best version of myself? Started sharing it from the heart. And now he has those lifers. I mean, Chris has such lifers that people will follow him into that stupid gym and do crazy crap to themselves on those apparatuses. Like, for real. Like, I don't know, some of you guys don't know what Chris does, and I'm going to totally mess up the acronym. Chris, you just to say the acronym.
OCR, obstacle course racing.
I should remember that. Okay, but they do these crazy things where they climb on wall. I watch and I'm like, do you know what I mean? Like him and his wife, like they actually get people to do that because they led with their heart. And these people are like, hey, if Chris says to do it, like I'm gonna do it, you know? And that's what we want to help you guys do. But that all starts with yourself. And that's the coolest part of the journey, because you can't lose. You guys understand that? You guys signed up for something that you can't lose. Like, and that I'm going to continually ask you guys, ask Megan. When Megan is struggling, I'm like, Megan, did you drink your shake and did you get your workout? Like, I don't care about anything else. Megan and I hooked up for Megan to work on. Megan, hey Megan, how many date nights have you gone on? Megan, like, did you drink your shake? Okay, did you push play 4 to 5 times this week? Okay, that's our focus, because that's the real gift in all of this. And as she keeps conquering, the story just starts coming out. You know what I'm saying? And so I can't stress that enough. Okay, so the next thing I think I want to talk about, and I would love some other people to help me share their smaller goals that they started with. But I think a lot of times we sign up for as coaches, and depending on what story you've heard or haven't heard, some of us are like, it's like this pie in the sky thing. And we're like, oh, that's really great look at Chris. I mean, you can't see Chris, but if any of you guys see Chris's muscles or anything like that, you might be like, that's great for Chris. And you're comparing your now, to Chris's 4.5 years later. Do you know what I mean? And we start doing that kind of thing. But all Chris did was start out with a small momentum goal, right? Drink the shake, push play, simple, right? And like right now, since I can't work out, my 2 simple goals are drink the shake, and don't eat sugar. Right now I'm trying to detox the toxins out of that's it. You know what I mean? I'm not eating sugar right now. That's my focus. I'm not beating myself up for the fact that I can't work out. I'm not like, okay, one glass of water, 2 glasses of water, 3 glasses of, you know what I mean? And that's important. But I mean, you could really overwhelm yourself with all the things that are essential. I'm not beating myself up for like, okay, did I get enough sleep? That's important. But right now, like Chris, like you didn't go into it 4.5 years ago being like, okay, well, I have to make sure that I'm drinking this amount of water, and I have to make sure that I'm sleeping this amount, and I have to make sure I'm pushing play, and I have to make sure that I'm getting all my push-ups in, and I have to make sure that I have this amount of protein and this percentage is macros. And were you doing all of that?
See, that's what always stopped me, is I thought I had to. Right. So totally. when I didn't have to, and I just trusted the process, that's when it was easy. And now
look, and how many races have you ran now? I mean, and I'm not just talking any race. These are like the hardest races you can possibly do. Like this is okay. Some people don't know, Chris, you used to be how much more heavier?
I was almost 200 pounds, 199, and I'm 5'6". I had a 38-inch waist.
Okay. And what are you now?
I lost 50 pounds, 30-inch waist.
And he's a ball of muscle. If I'm just he's super humble, so he's not going to say it. But he's a ball of muscle, and he drank how many times a week?
I drank at 4 to 5 times a week. I drank my whole life. I smoked cigarettes my whole life, all the way till even becoming a coach. I was still drinking and smoking. Talk about that was a crazy situation, but that's a different story. But yeah, all of that, my whole life. And 41 is when I decided that I had to, I had to make it.
41. Some of you guys are thinking like, man, I guess it is what it is. I mean, I hope some of you guys will start to follow Chris Webb, because hopefully you already do, because 41, he said, but now, right? And he started with like these small little things that he was going to do each day that led up to, building up to where he is now. Okay. And so that's how I want you guys to think about your business as well. You know, a lot of us complicate it, but it really comes down to just a couple things each day, you know, and I'm going to ask Chris to kind of chime in with me. I'm going to ask, I think Sherry might have left, but to kind of chime in, but this business comes down to, and I built this business at a time when things were more simple. And this is where we're trying to get everybody back to, because it's so simple that it's simple not to do. It's so easy, it's easy not to do. Does that make sense? And we get it in our head that all of these things have to happen. Like, think about it. You know, a lot of you guys said you are moms. How many of you guys every day think, if you like, have mom guilt? How many of you guys go to bed with mom guilt? Because you think of all the things that maybe you didn't do, or something that you missed, or maybe you raised your voice, or maybe you didn't spend enough time with them, instead of focusing on maybe the two things that matter the most that you did well. What if we switched our focus? What would happen? I'm pretty sure we would all break free from the prison we've lived in for far too long. And so there's a couple things, and I'm gonna let Chris kind of chime in here a little bit, because I really think he does a great job at keeping this job super simple. So Chris, if you were like, if you were as a brand new coach, where would you want them to focus right now?
On not trying to be another coach, not trying to be someone that they're not. If I could go back, I mean, people say, well, if I could change anything, I would change X, Y, Z, but that wouldn't make you who you are. So I get all that. But one thing that really slowed my process as a coach was trying to be something I wasn't. Not being real and honest. I was only showing the good, or I thought I had to be this perfect person, this perfect. Coaches don't do that. Coaches don't do this. You know, I hid the fact that I drank and smoke as a coach. You know what I mean? If I was just real about everything, the process would have moved a lot faster, and I would have felt better. I would have grown more. I held myself back by not sharing the truth about being a real person.
You know what that reminds me of, Chris? That reminds me of Stephen Furtick said, you're only as sick as your secret, you know? And you really, like, as you tell, like, Chad and I had some tough times in our marriage, and really we shared as we navigated it. And not only did it keep me accountable to repairing our marriage, but it kept it real. You know what I mean? And it created a connection. It's that vulnerability that allows people to locate themselves in you, right? And that's something that Chris has done like a really, really good job of, is being himself. How about this, Chris? You're a brand new coach. Facebook posts. What do you think they should start doing?
Start doing?
Like, if they're nervous about Facebook, you know, like, a lot of people, like, they go, okay, I don't know how many of y'all have this fear, but I see a lot of different type of posts on Facebook from different multi-level marketing businesses, and I don't like it. And so that was one of the, I felt like it felt icky. So I didn't want to be that, right? So it held me back a little bit in this business at first. And so, Chris, what would you suggest? Like if a new coach just signed up, they say, what should my first Facebook post be?
Right. Well, I can tell you what it should not be. It should not be anything salesy. It should not be, you know, here's my Shakeology. Had the best meal of the day today. You know what I mean? Here's the thing. I think if you remember that people don't go to Facebook to shop, they go to Amazon to shop. So if we know that, then don't put stuff out there for people to buy. You don't send people to your website and all of that stuff. That's not who we are. Yeah. We are our product. People join us for us. People want to take our hand for us. It doesn't really matter what the product is, to be honest with you. It doesn't. If they trust you in the fact that whatever you're doing is working for you, and they trust you, then they will take your hand and try it with you. And if you're honest with them and make it about them, it's not, hey, this is how I'm going to help you. No, this is what I'm doing. And if it works for you, great. Yeah. If not, it doesn't. You know what I mean? Yeah.
So your first Facebook post shouldn't be scary. It should just start being you. You know what I mean? And we can touch on this really, really quick, but generally you want to be you and authentically you. And the way I've been taught, and I'm not saying it's the end all be all, but pick 5 things that kind of make you, okay? Like, I don't know how any of you guys ride horses, like horseback riding or anything. Why do I feel like Wendy? Do you ride horses? Did I dream that, Wendy?
She's from Canada. Is that what you're saying?
I don't know. I don't know why I think that, but I must have.
I think she's frozen.
I think she is frozen. But I don't, and therefore I would not talk about it. I don't care if I've heard people say before on social media, talk about what other people like you don't like dogs, but talk about them anyway. And no, if you don't like dogs, don't pretend to like dogs. Truthfully. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not a cat person, and so not that I don't like them, but I don't have any. I'm allergic to them, and so I'm not going to pretend that I have this affection for them just so that I can try to pull you in closer to me because I know that you like cats. Does that make sense? But I do love dogs, and so it is not a surprise in my challenge group to find a bunch of people that love dogs. Really? You know what I'm saying? Like, you're going to you want to attract people that you connect with, right? And so I don't, connect with a lot of people, a lot of men, because let's be honest, if any of you guys have watched me on Facebook, I probably make a lot of men a tad uncomfortable, a little bit. Do you know what I mean? Like, and Chris and I are good friends because really it started out, his wife and I were good friends. You know what I mean? And so there's that connection. But, you need to talk about things that excite you so that it can come out and across genuinely. So what are some things you talk about on, like, Chris is a vegan. I'm not a vegan, and I'm not going to pretend to be one, and I'm not going to talk about it just to try to tap into the vegan market. There are people that are directly connected to Chris and Danny, and Danny and Chris are better equipped to serve them. And so if I were to start posting about it, I would be doing the whole vegan community a disservice. Does that make sense? And so that's one of your pillars, right, Chris?
Yeah, this is huge. And this is huge. As a new coach, I tried to be everything to everybody.
Oh.
I wanted to post what I thought the mass market would be attracted to. Because then, of course, I'll have more people coming to me. I can connect with more people. What I found I got a lot of conversations, but our relationships were not this. Our relationships were this. We didn't have anything in common because I wasn't being me. So when I started really focusing on, like what Summer said in the training, the 5 different things that you truly excite you, don't worry about who you offend. I can tell you that right now. As soon as I stopped worrying about who was going to be offended by what I was going to say or put out there, as long as I'm not being an idiot, of course, but you know what I mean. So when I stopped worrying about what other people were going to think, and maybe I might turn some people off, when I started doing that, I started getting more messages in my inbox of people who I was actually having good conversations with.
Right.
They were deep conversations. They weren't superficial because we shared in common,
Right. Yeah. And I think that's you know what, you guys, I love about that. That is what's so cool about this business is there are people that should work with Julie and not me. Mm-hmm. Because Julie is better equipped to work with them. The things that she has gone through, the relationship her and Justin have, the struggles that they've had, what they have, their faith that has worked through different things and that's the story she tells and should tell, that will attract people. And there are people that are better, are going to, be better a fit for Megan. And that's what's so cool about this business is there's enough to go around. It cracks me up when people say that it's saturated, because if you look around, like, there are people hurting every single day. How many of you guys, I know this is kind of a vulnerable question, but when you joined, like, you were hurting inside. Like, there was a struggle going on inside of your heart, right? Like me, for sure, and so every day there are people. So we need more of us, because I can't connect with everybody. And Amber can't connect with everybody, and Chris can't connect with everybody. If we're going to reach like our mission, you guys, let's be honest, is to get our hands into every household in this country. And when we in Canada, like when we expand, it's to get into every house and to help healing happen, right? That is going to take a large team to do, different personalities, right? Different backgrounds, different things that we've been through. And so don't for a second try to be anybody other than you. But tonight I want you guys to write down like those 5 things that kind of make up you, right? And each day just start with like, and this is another thing, like start with one post, just one post a day. How many of you guys already post regularly on Facebook? Or how many of you guys are like, Facebook kind of, I'm not so sure about it, so it kind of makes me nervous. And that's fine. Jessica Williams, if any of you guys follow Jessica Williams, that was Jessica Williams. She was like, I love all of it, but this whole Facebook thing you keep talking about. And so I did this, one Facebook post a day. And she said, I can do that. And guess what she built? A business that makes over $1,000 a month. One Facebook a day. One Facebook post. Minimal hours in the cracks of life. So
I missed part of the conversation.
Yeah, go ahead.
Did you talk about the kind of feeling of your Facebook page and that? So I'm sure many of you have noticed that most Facebook posts are not necessarily good, or they're pretty negative. It being the opposite of that will attract people to you. So if you're you got to get rid of the political posts, you got to get rid of the religious posts, you got to bring people to you, and they got to trust you. Okay, so that stuff is going to polarize people, and it's really going to hurt your business in the long run. So be a light.
Chad and I truly believe some of those
we've seen
controversial posts we're like, oh, there goes that business, and it really did.
Because even employers like in a normal brick and mortar are now going to Facebook and looking who you are. And don't think that other people aren't doing the same thing. That's where all the eyes are going. That's where all the advertisements going. That's where all the money and all the technology is going. That's why, for example, we go to a store, a brick and mortar store, and buy a pair of shoes. The next day, it's on Facebook. It's not even that we did it online. Everything's interconnected now. It all is with Facebook.
Isn't that crazy? I bought a pair of shoes at Nordstrom. And the next day, the pair of shoes showed up on my bar on Facebook. I didn't even.
We gave them our email. Everything's linked. It's just the way it is.
Right.
Municipalities, it's all there. Point is, make it your living room. Shalene taught us that. That is your
good point, babe.
That is your living room. That's you're inviting people in, and
it's a safe place.
Yeah, that's how they get to know you. And so these posts you have to, like Chris said, you have to be real, and you have to
and not everybody's going to want to sit in your living room.
But if you approach it with you're trying to provide something to somebody else, then are you going to connect with everybody? Absolutely not. But are you going to connect with the person you need to? Yeah, you are. But it has to be deep, and you're going to have to. It takes some time to really build that trust with people. You're not posting, don't go out tomorrow and write a book. Just kind of start sharing what you're doing. Just start sharing and eventually what it means to you, and then sprinkle a long post in there, and then go back to your normal ones or your smaller ones.
No, this is good. And we're going to continue to work on that. And the 12 days of the 12-day new coaching, there is a section that goes over that, and that'll help you guys really. But honestly, the best advice I can give on social media is just to start. You know what I mean? Is to just start posting, and then a lot of us will start, hitting like and helping, and stuff and encouraging you. I know I see some questions on the side here that I'll get to, but I want to cover a couple more things. I want you guys to think of a small goal that excites you. Okay. And I don't know if Chris, if we taught this much back then, or I can't remember. But for me, when I first started, it wasn't like, I'm going to build this 7-figure business that brings Chad home. That didn't even that just happened. I'm for real. That was never I never wrote that down on a goal board or anything. And when I signed up, I definitely didn't write 6 figures down. It grew. My first goal was $200. Okay. My first goal was $200 for a couple of reasons. Chad and I lived in the red, and we had $100,000 worth of debt. And I taught group fitness classes every single night to try to create wiggle room so Chad and I could have date night. Now, I was missing dinner with Griffin. He was 3 at the time, and I mean, how many of you guys remember 3-year-olds? Like, they are just so fun at dinner time. Do you know what I mean? The stuff, I mean, just the giggles. I was tired of missing it. And but I knew if I quit, that Chad and I would go back to living in the red, and there would be no date nights, and we couldn't afford a babysitter and stuff. And so that ignited my fire. So like getting back, it was just $200. I remember when my upline said, what would $200 do for your family? And I said, it would change everything. Just $200 would change everything. And so I'm going to ask you guys, what is that first like momentum goal that excites you? Is it Chris, did you have one initially? Yeah. What was yours?
It was $250 because that was our lowest car payment that we had at the time. And I wasn't really contributing much. Part of my story, as I have a career part of the story too, where I didn't feel like I was living up to what I should live up to. And so being able to make a car payment with this business told me that this business would be legit. Hey, I just paid a car payment. This is legit in my eyes. It gave me that belief. So I knew if I could do that, and I don't know if it was the first month, but it was when I first started, like after I did my training and like went for it. Oh yeah, $250. I blew way past that.
Yeah. So, which builds a story too. So, and belief, like you said. And then when you're talking to people and they're like, I mean, really, are you doing anything with this? And it's like, well, I don't know. I just paid my car payment.
Right.
I mean, how many of you guys would love to be able to tell your spouse or something like, dude, I just paid the car payment? Like, I don't know about your guys' families, but that was big for Chad and I with the date nights and the stuff like that. So I want you guys to think really hard about something that excites you. And it doesn't have to be big. It just has to excite you. That's important, because if it doesn't excite you, if it doesn't mean anything to you, you're not going to do it. There's something's going to come up. The alarm's going to go off at 5 o'clock and you're going to say, screw it. Or, 8:30 is going to come. The kids are in bed and, This Is Us is going to come on and you're going to go, you know what, I'm just going to watch This Is Us. Do you guys get what I'm saying? So I just want you to think about that. What excites you? And then last but not least, I need you guys to just remain teachable. That's it. As long as you show up, as long as you're like, you know what, just I'm all ears. Like I remember like being that coach, where I listened to the National Wake Up Call and I was just like, okay, Janelle said to do this, so this is what I'm doing. Or Janelle Summers, and I don't know if you guys even recognize some of these names anymore, but Melissa McAllister or Mindy Winder, like I was just like, okay, like they success leaves clues. So this is what they said. So this is what I'm going to do. And that's all I did. And some things worked and some things didn't. And I just kept putting one foot in front of the other. And I really fell in love with the process. And that's all I ask you guys to do. If you don't show up, it won't work. It's not that the business doesn't work. It's just that you have to show up for it to work. It's just like T25 really does work if you push play. I have so many stories of coaches on our team that just push play with T25 and drank a shake, and it really did work. So if you push play, like it really will work, right? You don't have to be perfect, right? My friend that did T25 that lost all of her weight with it, like she didn't always finish the whole thing. Some days it was 20 minutes because she just couldn't do anymore. But if you just do the best that you can and you take that same mentality in your journey and you apply it to this business, it will grow. How many of you guys, is Julie still here, will admit that it's like a well? If you pump it, it takes a little while, the water will trickle, and when you leave the well, the water will stop trickling and you have to repump. And that's what I want to warn you guys against. I want to warn you against pumping the well and being like, sweet, peace out, or getting frustrated because it wasn't enough water. Do you know what I mean? Or something like that. But just staying it's that consistent person that just keeps pumping the well, that shows up and there's this gushing water. And that's what Chris has going on in his entire life right now. His business is starting to gush, his fitness journey, his his relationship with his family. I mean, it's just like gushing, and he just kept doing this. And sometimes he's like, ooh, wrong well, crap. Like, you know what I mean? But he would, you know what I mean? And we all do that sometimes, you know what I mean? But he's always been there, pumping, you know what I mean? And learning and growing. And that's the biggest tip that I can give you guys. Chris, do you have any last tip when it comes to like their list and taking action with that vital behavior?
As far as the list goes, is not to prejudge, like don't put people on your list who you think might want to do something with you. Your list is to clear your head. It's going to trigger more names and trigger more names and trigger more names. And so it's not that you think of somebody and you say, wow, could they do this? Or could it change their life? That's not for you to decide. But would it? Would it? I don't know.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So would they go after it if you showed it to them? Not for you to decide. Could they? Yes, absolutely. For them to decide.
Let's think about that for a second. Like when I was introduced to the business, I was a personal trainer with a million gazillion certifications. Chad was in the military, he was a captain in the military, and the person that invited me could have assumed, why would Summer want to do anything like that? She has clients. Do you know what I mean? She works, and her husband's in the military. They must make good money. Let's not all fool ourselves on that one with military income. But, he's a pilot. They're probably good. And how would I even approach somebody with that much knowledge? You know what? I'm not going to say anything to her. She could have said that. And then I could have said, you know what? Chris smokes and drinks. I mean, do you really think he could do something like this business? Nah, I mean, really? I mean, if he's drinking 4 to 5 times a week, he smokes. I mean, that's not really like the picture perfect coach. I mean, should I? Like, do you guys get what I'm saying? Can you imagine? I mean, the lives Chris has changed. We just can't prejudge. And so, you guys, I'll never forget Janelle Summers telling me that when she finally went for it, because her sister, Chalene Johnson, was like, dude, I think there's something to this. And Janelle was like, no. And Chalene was like, no, seriously, like, Janelle, I think you should do it. And she was like, I'm an introvert. I don't even have Facebook and all this kind of stuff. And finally, she caved. And when her and Matt decided that Janelle was going to go for it, they just sat down and just started writing down every single name, because behind every one name, that person knows 2,000 people. And so it's not about, can I sell this person? It's like, kind of, if you look at your list at who behind someone on this list can I one day serve? I mean, there are people on our team that were suicidal that are still alive because someone on this team shared it with them. Did you guys know that? Her name's Susan Kuntz, and there's many more names like that. But she would not be alive today if someone prejudged her or didn't make their list. So I'm going to challenge you guys to do a couple things tonight. This business is really simple. Push play. Doesn't have to be 7 days a week. I know the 21-day fix says that, but I highly disagree. Do with that what you want. But I'm going to go with 4 to 5 times a week. If you push play, you will see results. Drink your shake. Okay? Become an advocate. Really fall in love with the process. Fall in love with yourself again. Fall in love with this team. Okay? So those are 2 of the vital behaviors right there. Work on yourself. Pick a book or an Audible and read it or listen. Right? And so it could be The Big Leap, or it could be the Energy Bus, or The Go Giver, or Get Over Your Damn Self. Find something. It does not have to be the perfect one that somebody else said that you have. Find something to really start to speak into your life, okay? And then sit down every day and give this business 30 minutes of your time. You're right. I just said that. 30 minutes, focus time. Go to your spouse and say, hey, like, this is really important to me because I want to whatever it might be. Let's just say I want to help relieve a little stress. Like we seem to get frustrated over finances a lot. And you know what? I want to pay for the car payment, babe. So can you just support me and give me 30 minutes a day to learn this business and really stay focused, and give me a year to show you that I can cover that car payment? What if you did that? 30 minutes. I told Megan this. You know what the problem is? So many of you, anybody want to admit that you're a perfectionist? And if you can't do it all, you're just not going to do it. I'm going to challenge you guys. That's something that the enemy uses to keep you from not doing anything, because perfection isn't even possible. Not by any of us, right? So why do we expect that of ourselves? Just 30 minutes a day, right? And so today or tomorrow morning, you might wake up and say, I'm just going to make, for 30 minutes, I'm not going to worry about what's going on in Team Courage. I'm not going to worry about what's going on in Team Shockwave. I'm not going to worry about I'm just going to sit here, and for 30 minutes, I'm going to make my list. And you might have a calendar like this, and and it might say product and business, right? And so for every time that you work out and you drink your shake, you get a slash. And for every day that you spend 30 minutes, you get another slash. 30 minutes doing something to move your business in a positive direction, and that's it. What if you did that for a year consistently? What if you filled up 12 of these for a year? You know what? I'll tell you what it would look like, because Mary Howard's done it for 8 months. Mary Howard's lost 100 pounds. 100 pounds.
Nice.
Just by keeping track, just like that. So I'm going to let you guys go, because I did not want to keep you past an hour, but it's that simple. Stay plugged in, because once you start to, have you guys ever noticed when you start to make changes, somebody has something not so positive to say about the changes you're making, right? And so stay surrounded, but just do the little things. Push play. Drink your shake. Listen to like 5 minutes. Start with 5 minutes. You know, I'll never forget when I heard someone say they read the Bible for 2 hours a day. And I was like, well, crap. I suck. I can't even understand it for 10. Like I used to start to read it for 10, and I'd be like, crap. Like, do you know what I mean? Like all of a sudden my mind, like, so the idea, like I was like, okay, to be like a good believer, like I have to read for 2 hours. Screw it. I'm not doing any of it. I'm not doing any of it. That was my own hang up, right? Of me comparing. She's been reading the Bible for, I don't know how long, 25 years. And I just started. So I was comparing her 25 years to my now, right? But I started with 5 minutes of personal development, and I listened to it while I made my coffee, and that was it. And I didn't expect anything else of myself. That's how I started. So let's start there. Okay, push play, drink your shake, do 5 minutes of personal development, and give me 30 minutes of moving forward in your business. And then promise me that you'll stay coachable for a year, and I'll show you a different life. Some of you guys are like, you're crazy because I'm at rock bottom. I'm not crazy, because I sat right where you were 7 years ago at rock bottom. Some of you guys aren't at rock bottom, but I'm saying if that's how you're feeling right now, there is hope. Okay? So we'll have the ability for you to come and ask questions, and there's no stupid question, and you're never by yourself. But let's start there, and let's check in with each other. Okay, check in with your coach, check in with your team page, and say, you know what, I'm doing this, and this, and today I did all of them. Start a calendar. Check, moving in a positive direction. That's it. All right, you guys. Anybody have any questions? I don't want to keep you, but if you have questions, like that's what I'm here for. I love that you guys are here, because this is a very, very powerful team. And when you get surrounded by them, a lot of things start to change in ways that you can't even imagine. My marriage is forever changed because of this team, because of people like watching Danny and Chris grow and being surrounded and challenged to do better. It's been the best thing I've ever been a part of, and not because of what's in my bank account. So, all right, you guys, I don't see any questions, so I'm going to let you go. Get some rest or spend 30 minutes, listen to some personal development, or I'm just going to throw this out there. Some of you guys have heard me say this before. You always could go have sex. I mean, I'm just saying. I'm just throwing it out there. I always have to end that way. All right, you guys. I'll talk to you later. See ya.
Thanks.
Bye.